All right, welcome to Pleasure Explosion, Episode 8, the Easter Special.
Yep.
How was everyone's Easter?
Shout out to Easter.
Shout out to the Easter Bunny, my homie.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm in Taupo at the moment, so away on holiday with friends for the weekend.
Oh,
Shout out to Jesus for dying for our sins.
he's going to get a shout out.
I bet you that's what he was thinking when he was dying on the cross. I hope I get a shout out on a podcast in 2017 years.
I mean, I was going to do a shout out to Jesus, but I was like worried. But I mean, since you did it, you can do it more tastefully than I can, I'm sure. So
The original OG. Shout
the
out.
OG shout out to Jesus.
I can shout out to Jesus. Jesus is my Lord and Savior.
Homeboy?
So yeah, he's my home.
I suppose that
Jesus
because he came back 3 days later as a zombie, it makes sense that we're talking about horror this weekend.
God damn it,
segue.
you stole my bit.
You can cut that out of
We're joined today by the original Godseeker, Tom.
Good evening.
We're also joined by the Confederate States Jack to Pepsi's Union.
Go fuck yourself.
Alt-right Dylan.
What's up, everybody?
The Body Horror Ash.
Hey, how's it
Body
going?
horror.
That's
Yep, it's horror themed. And The Exorcist Jono.
Your boy.
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
So I thought, considering
since
it's Easter,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about the original zombie Jesus, and that led me to thinking about horror movies. So this week's going to be all about horror, because Halloween doesn't tie into that or anything.
No, that would make too much sense.
No, we like to buck trends here.
I say don't wait to do what you can do later in the year when you can just do it now. You
Exactly.
know? Like, why wait till October? Follow Jack's advice. Just do it, right?
Yeah,
Because
bloody hell.
hashtag
Next week we're
current
doing the
events.
We're doing the Christmas special next week.
Fuck yes, why not?
We're getting in early because
That's a very good
hashtag
idea.
current events. World War III might break out.
Yeah.
It might already happen by the time this
Yeah,
goes
it's
out.
quite possibly underway.
It is a very real possibility that is a fact.
Fuck.
Anyway, yeah.
That's horrific, isn't it?
So, yeah, that's exactly right. So, I was thinking about horror movies, and I went back and watched Hostel, and in my mind, like when it came out, be about 12 years ago. I loved it then, but it did not hold up at all.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I was just thinking, what are your favourite horror stories, horror themes, horror movies? I'll start with you, Dylan, because you're a bit of a movie buff.
I could say all the classics and go with like Halloween and stuff. I'm a big fan of Halloween, and solely for like the way,
Trick or Treat.
the look of that movie. And I only watched Trick or Treat the movie. Is that what you mean? The movie
Nope,
Trick or
I
Treat?
was just talking about Halloween.
That was a Halloween.
Okay, because there is a movie
Actual
called,
Halloween.
There is a movie called Trick or Treat, which everyone should
Doesn't
watch as well.
surprise
But
me.
Halloween's probably one of my favorites. I consider Jaws a horror movie, even though to this day people are like, "Well, it's not really a horror movie." I'm like, "Well, I mean, Jaws is more or less the stabby dude." But my all-time favorite horror franchise is the Scream franchise.
Scream.
And
Fuck, you would have
It's
been like 2 when that came out.
but I can tell you a story. I was in grade 7 or 8, and I was down at a friend's place, and there's a Tasmanian chain of like dollar stores, like cheapy. I don't know what you have on the mainland, like
We call them $2 shops.
is it like cheap? Anyway, there's this brand of shops called Chicken Feed. They all closed down years and years ago, but it was called Chicken Feed. But it's just like a shit
We have chicken
brand
feet.
stuff that you buy stuff and stuff like that. And they had Scream for $2 on DVD, and this guy brought it and he watched it. And who the fuck is like playing fucking bongos, like it's fucking Kevin over in the background there.
I was turning my headset down. Sorry.
Okay.
Do you have to be so distracting, Jono? Jesus Christ.
And
Oh shit! Sorry, I can't say
Shout
that
out.
today, can I? My bad.
he lent me Scream, and I watched it, and it was like the cross between this kind of stuff I'd already watched, like Halloween and stuff like that. The bad guy running around with a knife just trying to kill people for no particular reason, plus the comedy, plus the fact it was ripping on other horror movies and stuff like that. So that's probably my favorite horror franchise, Scream, and I'm a big fan of 4, even though a lot of people didn't like that one when it came out.
What was that one?
4. Did you watch it?
4 as
Scream
in the number.
4, like Scream.
Scream 4. No, I actually haven't seen any of the Screams.
Oh man, you should watch. Scream's great. But I suppose these are what people see. The thing about horror that confuses me is people get so up in arms about the genres. Like, well, that's a thriller. Or that's a gore porn. That's a horror thing. It's like one of these things where it comes down to arguing about genres. That's what I mean. Like Jaws to me, horror movie. People are like,
Yeah.
what's a thriller? I'm like,
I think they're
what's
all
the difference?
subgenres of the one.
Yeah, they're all
genre.
subgenres of the same thing. So I'd count them. If you want to talk,
Is it scary? Then it's horror.
yeah, but it gives you a scare. It's horror. It's fine. Whatever. Exorcist, of course. Everyone, I don't know. That scared the shit out of me as a kid when I first watched it. When her head spun around.
See, I saw The Exorcist young as well, and it had, like, I don't know whether it was just because it was hyped up, but I was just like, this fucking movie's boring.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
man.
I watched it as a kid. I was expecting
Yeah.
this absolutely terrifying thing, and it just sort of meanders along, and I don't know. And then, like,
That's
okay.
part of it, though.
Yeah, it didn't do it for me as a.
I saw it later in life, about 15 or 16, and yeah, it didn't do much for me. And that's normally one of my favourite subgenres of horror, the whole religious possession, demons,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know the topic isn't like what's the scariest movie of all time, but since
No.
it's horror, I figured it counts.
It all
to
comes
chuck
under
in.
it, yeah.
The movie. Whenever someone's like, "What's the movie that scared you the most?" My pick is always 1408. If anyone's seen that,
Is that Samuel L. Jackson and?
it's the one where Samuel L. Jackson, when he runs the hotel, and John Cusack goes there.
John,
to
I actually wanna
investigate
see that.
thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, John Cusack. He goes there to stay in this hotel because he writes books about like supernatural stuff and stuff like that. Anyway, he stays in this room and shit just goes fucking crazy. It's based on a Stephen King short story or book or something. I think it's a short story. Anyway, that movie scared the living shit out. And I wasn't like, this came out when I was probably like a teenager, like I don't know, probably like 13, 14 or something I was, or 12, like I was old enough to the point where I'm not getting super scared easily, like I'm old enough. But this movie was like, I was laying in bed watching it and I was like, I kind of want to put the covers over my eyes.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm willing to, and that movie I still can't watch. It's not gory, it has like no gore. There's no like bad guy. It's literally just him in this room and dear,
God
bless
bless
you.
God
bless
bless
you.
you.
Bless you. I mean, the zombies are coming.
I turned down my my recording to 0 so I wouldn't actually record the sneeze, and then I didn't even think
Okay,
about
sorry.
you guys mentioning it in Discord. So
Okay, we'll just.
Yeah.
It's a horror
Just add
element.
that in post.
I sneezed, but you won't hear that recorded.
Just edit that in.
It's
It was the
thought-
poltergeist.
It's the thought that
Funny
counts.
sound effect in.
And I'll chuck in favorite horror author, and like one of my favorite authors of all time is Clive Barker. I'm a huge Clive Barker fan, and one of my favorite books of all time is Cable or Cabal, however you want to pronounce it.
Cabela's Dangerous
'Cause
Hunts?
people pronounce it differently, but that's like one of my favorite books of all time, and I love his stuff.
Have you read The Great and Secret Show?
Yep.
That's my favorite book of all time.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
we can get along, Jack, over here with our Clive Barker love. Yep. So Clive Barker's the shit.
I might move on to you, Jono, next, because you've come out and said that you're not a fan of horror in general. Can you explain why that is to us?
He's a sane person.
No,
Yeah, go on.
no, you go on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't interest me, really. That's the short version of it. I mean, there was a couple horror movies that I'd rent out in high school to watch with my friends, and we'd think that we were so, badass or whatever.
Edgelord.
Yeah, like we're edgy,
Badass.
we're grown up. I remember my grade 6 teacher telling us, don't watch Silence of the Lambs, it's, all messed up and whatever. And then 2 of my friends just went out and watched it because of that warning, basically. Good example of I think why teenagers watch horror movies. They feel like it's, I don't know, more grown up than what they're meant to be. Would you agree?
I don't know. I watch horror movies to this day just because of the thrill. It's like a
Yeah.
roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
It's like, why do people go on roller coasters? They literally go on them to scare themselves.
Yeah,
Why do you
that's
watch
right.
horror movies? You watch them to scare yourself.
Yeah, and I don't like scaring myself. I think,
Yeah, me neither.
yeah. And I also think that depending on what the movie's about, some horror movies are realistic, some of them are completely supernatural and just kind of dumb, like The Leprechaun or whatever.
That's a comedy.
Yeah. Or like Ghost Ship or, that kind of crap.
Oh, Ghost Ship.
I just, yeah.
That's hilarious.
For me, I think there's enough messed up stuff in the world as is without choosing that to be my form of entertainment. I'd much rather watch a comedy or some kind of action movie.
Well, I'll counter that
Or,
with...
am I allowed to finish first?
No.
Okay.
And this is when the show ended.
Do you want to turn this into a horror bloodbath over here? I mean...
I was going to say Hannah should always finish first, but
Oh!
my timing was a little
No,
off.
finish-
Sex puns.
Finish your point, Jono.
You know who needs a pleasure explosion first?
You just left.
No, that wasn't me.
Continue, Johnny.
Sorry.
Continue.
Anyway, yeah, like, as I would say, I'd rather watch something... I know that some horror movies are held up to a really high critique, like The Shining and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
as just a, objectively good film, and that's fine, but it's not what I would choose to watch.
It's objectively good.
Yeah, I said that.
No, you said subjectively.
No, he didn't.
No, he said objectively. Shut the fuck up,
all,
Dylan.
yes. Alright.
You misquoting Darth Vader, you misquoting
Yeah.
John O'Peck? What the fuck?
Let's just go back. Let's just go back to Dylan. I think he wants to talk more.
I was actually going to start agreeing with you, Jono, if you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, go on, Tom.
Yeah, no, I think I'm in a
This podcast is horrific.
similar camp of just how you want to spend your time, the experience that you want to have, and I'm really not particularly interested in sitting for an hour and a half and feeling uncomfortable about everything that's going on. And I know that's the point, and some people enjoy that, and I don't. I'm like, I would much rather spend an hour and a half or 2 hours watching something that's going to make me laugh, or something even that's going to make me cry, as opposed to something that's going to make me cringe and anxious and all that sort of stuff. And I think the sort of the sum total of horror that I've actually watched, it doesn't quite count as super horror. I think it's more like slasher, but again, you're talking about subgenres. I Know What You Did Last Summer series, and like some of the Final Destination movies, and I only know that I've watched I watched them back in the day on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and you have a whole bunch of family friends around, and all the kids walk down to the video shop. Kids ask your parents what a video shop is, and rent a couple of VHSs and take them home and watch a couple of movies, and sort of being that there was 6 or 8 kids, you'd always sort of get a mix, but those kind of movies came up, and that's where my horror begins and ends.
Yeah,
Final
I'm sort of-
Destination was pretty much my capacity for horror, really. Like, it's not scary, it's kind of just like, these people are probably all going to die, let's see how it happens.
I'm probably halfway between Dylan and you and Tom and Jono. I sort of the way I consume horror, like, if you want to sort of put the blanket over it, is sort of like the way I consume cigarettes. I know that they're not good for me, but every now and then you just need a hit. So I've always been like easily frightened. I don't know why. I just remember as a kid, like watching things and getting scared by stuff easily, and I remember watching like an episode of Round the Twist and being like terrified of bloody scarecrows and shit like that. But I'll go through stages where I'll be like, all I want to watch is horror movies, and I'll like, you get that sort of like that little adrenaline rush when you're watching, you get that jump scare, but as a rule, generally I don't watch them sort of like, if I had a choice, yeah, I would pick probably a comedy or an action movie or something like that, rather than like a horror movie, or even like in gaming, like when I just last year or the year before, I played The Evil Within. The game was just released. Shinji Mikami sort of directed and produced it. And that game, which is probably, I think it took me 18 hours of play time to finish. Took me about 4 months to actually get through, because I would put it in and I could literally only play like, and the game wasn't super scary, but it had some, really tense moments, and it had like a lot of atmospheric sort of scary little jump scares and stuff. But I was so anxious playing it that I could only do like half an hour, like hour max at a time, because I would just be like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I need to have a break. I can't consume it. And then it got to the point where I was just like, I just need to power through this, and I pushed through it in like a couple of nights and finished the last 2 hours off. But I do enjoy them from time to time, but I think these days especially, it's so hard to find good horror movies, and like I've watched a few in the last couple of years, and there's ones that like Sinister is one that I watched, which was okay, not great, and The Visit was another one I was like, okay, that's okay, not great. The Babadook or whatever it was, I was like, okay, all I want to do is punch that kid in the mouth. I'm not really like, it is what it is kind of thing. But like my like the horror movies that I like the most are not ones where like I enjoy Scream and all that. I used to watch them as a kid and that kind of thing, but the ones that I enjoy the most are ones like stories like the Amityville Horror and like the Conjuring and stuff, where it's a more of a like a poltergeist supernatural kind of religious thing. Those I think are the most scary ones, because they're the ones that if you believe or are sort of open to that kind of thing being in reality, they're probably the ones that are closest to reality. Like if something's going to be like, I don't believe in like monsters and stuff like that, but if I sort of believe in ghosts and that kind of thing, so that to me like actually scares me, because I can fathom it being real.
How do you sort of believe in ghosts? How does that work as a thing?
Just encounters and experiences that I've had.
Go on. It is Easter after
this is actually, I was actually going to make this one of my topics coming up. I was actually going to talk about ghosts, but it's a hard thing to talk about, because when you talk about it, people, I can hear the eye roll around the country and across the Tasman when I say experiences like, oh yeah,
feel Jono sighing.
Yeah,
no,
I can feel.
I'm the one that's probably the most open to that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I've had experiences, and I don't talk about it a lot, because it's sort of like that thing. It's like if you say it, you're crazy. If you try and like really talk about it, like people aren't going to believe you. It's something that you have to sort of experience. And I sort of, the way I rationalize it in my head is that I think that there's some people. I believe that there's stuff like that out there. That there is some sort of. I don't believe in God and that kind of thing, but I believe that there's something else, that there is something else beyond the realm that we're in at the moment. And when I've experienced things, I think that, how can I say this? I think that there's some people that are more open to it, and like just their brain allows them to comprehend it. Like Dylan, I know you said stuff like in our topic the other week with the hypotheticals, you're talking about how you just I just don't believe that thing could be like, about the question about you're in the theater and you have this feeling that your mum died, and you're like, I don't believe that could be a thing. I don't it's just, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the book being turning me gay or whatever. But I think there's people like that who are so closed off to it, and then there's people like myself and like Jono and that who your mind's more open to it, and you can sort of, if stuff like that happens, you can actually see it. So that's how I sort of rationalize it, as I think that it's something, and I can't explain what it is or what they have been, but I know that it's not in my head. Like it's not, I haven't just thought it up. I didn't make it up. I didn't hallucinate it. Like it was there. I saw it. I felt it.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Might be another topic.
Yeah, I could probably go on for for a whole hour about it, but I'll go into it one day. Some of the things that I've experienced and the things that I've seen, and that has happened more than enough times for me to go, okay, this isn't just a thing. I'm like, oh, I woke up and I thought I saw something. For it to happen the amount of times it's happened and the way that it happens, I think that there's more to it.
Yeah.
Color me
I definitely
intrigued
have
for
some
that
thoughts
topic.
about that. Ash, how do you feel about it?
It's not something I often go out and seek. I think the first horror movie I ever saw that I can think of is Cujo. You know, with
Cujo.
Yep, Stephen King.
with the dog. So that scarred me for a little while. There's a couple of horror movies that I can think off the top of my head that I really like the Cabin in the Woods.
Oh,
And
yeah.
The Mist, and Horns, which was with Daniel Radcliffe recently, which was pretty good. But yeah, pretty rare that I seek horror movies out, personally. Not something that interests me very much.
And what about you, Tom?
I kind of covered it sort of agreeing with Jono, but would add,
Yeah.
like, I was in the room while somebody was playing PT, and I was just struggling to want to look at the TV because it just makes me uncomfortable, and there's sort of not the
I haven't
sensation
finished
that
it
I want.
yet.
And
Yeah, I had to play that with someone. I had to have my brother over. I was like, I had it ready to go for ages, and I'm like, had my brother over. I'm like, look, I'm never going to play this on my own. I need you to sit here while I play it because it's terrifying.
I'll do it one day.
And just don't bother. And
You probably can't anymore anyway, so.
you can play it if you come around to my house, but I'm not going to sit and watch you.
I've got it there. I just,
And then Outlast, that was available on PS Plus at one point or
Yeah.
another, sort of early in the PS4 life cycle. And I sat down to try and play that, and I got inside the building, and I was just like, I don't feel compelled to like drive this character forward and experience whatever is supposed to be going on here, because I'm just freaked the fuck out. And I personally wouldn't be this reporter going into this house to go and figure out what's happening in the mental asylum or whatever that shit was. So why I would spend my time pretending that I'm this character and going off and doing it in this insane asylum just makes no sense to me. So I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Put it down. Just never went back. Deleted it. Happy with that being a maybe a 0%, or I got one bronze trophy or something stupid. That can sit there as a point of shame, but really, it was a point of great decision making.
Yeah.
I got the platinum for Until Dawn, which is probably my only really positive horror experience, and it's because the game's just good, and I really like adventure games, even going back to LucasArts point and click, and I feel like those Until Dawn, Heavy Rain types of games are the modern version of that kind of thing. So even if the horror wasn't what made it good to me, I think it was just a really, like, the storytelling was good, there was a twist, and
So I have Until Dawn.
There are jump scares in there, but they're not what make the game good. They're just cheap kind of. Yeah.
I have the game, and I do intend to play it, because I've heard all that sort of good stuff, that it's not just about it's not Outlast, basically. There's a lot more to it. So I intend to get to that one day.
If there is any part of you that just doesn't want to play it because it's scary, you can always turn the music off, and that pretty much takes all the tension out of it.
Just removes it all. Yeah, so kind of my idea, I thought at one point that I would invite a few friends around, and we would sort of play chapter by chapter together. Because isn't it like
that's
you
a good
do
idea.
one chapter as one particular character, and then the next is the next kind of thing? Yeah, like everybody's sort of picked a character for the evening, and we have a few drinks, and we sit down and play a character each. Not that you would get it done in
if
one
you've got
evening, but unless you're starting at lunchtime or something like that to go right through the night. But maybe a couple of evenings of having friends around.
For me, I have to be in the right mood to watch horror. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, I enjoy the horror movies. Some of my favourite movies are like Nightmare on Elm Street. But yeah, there's some movies that have affected me. When I was young and impressionable, I watched The Grudge and The Ring way too young, and that just freaked the fuck out of me. I couldn't go near a TV for about a month. And
How old were you? Like 15?
no, I think I was younger than that. I don't even remember when it came out. And
I reckon it was. How old are you?
27.
I thought it came out in like 2003.
Yes.
Yeah, well, 13.
That old.
Well, that's still pretty young and
Yeah.
impressionable.
No, that's fine. You're just a bitch. That's all good.
2002. Yeah, and some of the movies that have really affected me, like I feel really uncomfortable to watch, are horror movies based around not the supernatural, but more the depravity and the absolute barbarism that humans can go to. Like, has anyone seen not The Departed, Deliverance with Burt Reynolds?
Yep.
No, but I've heard about it.
I've seen Departed though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I've seen
pretty
The
scary
Departed.
too.
I love The Departed.
Yeah, well, there's a particular scene. I can't really remember where it is. I think it's towards the beginning where they come across these rednecks in the woods and they do some pretty horrible stuff to not the other main character, and that affected me. In other words, I might just explain it to set the context.
It's a bit rapey.
The Hicks, yeah,
Spoilers
they
for
hold
Deliverance.
they hold him at gunpoint and make the fat character, they rape him and make him squeal like a pig, and that was just uncomfortable. And there's this,
Imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rape scenes are generally uncomfortable.
yeah,
Yes.
That's why Jono doesn't watch Game of Thrones.
yeah, and it's
And the
actually
incest.
yeah, it's actually a similar just thing to the horror. It's just I have other things to watch. There's like so many shows and movies out there that why pick something that's not gonna make you feel good. That's like I understand why people like to get a little bit of adrenaline and whatever out of horror, but it's just not for me.
And then the other movie that deeply affected me, because I watched it, it was a Brian De Palma film, I'm pretty sure, called Redacted. And
Oh, is that the military one?
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
When
I've seen that.
I
That
bought
movie's
it.
fucked up.
Yeah, I bought it, and at the time I didn't realise it was a fictional film. I thought it was a documentary. And there's a scene where the terrorists capture one of the soldiers, and they pretty much show all up about his head being cut off, and that I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it. It just made me, made me feel so uncomfortable.
On the topic of movies or even horror, even that people think were documentaries, the Blair Witch Project is something that I have seen and is pretty fantastic. I think all things considered.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, I remember watching that as a kid and being like, and not knowing that was fake. Seeing that as like oh god, I would have been like 9 when it came out, and I was just like, why haven't they gone out there with like the police to try and find this thing? I don't understand.
I watched it in my first year of uni, like the first and only time, and didn't know whether it was real or fake, just having not paid enough attention or known really about what the Blair Witch Project, and that, yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, good movie. Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
actually to this day it's like one of the best returns on investment for a film ever. I think it
Yeah.
like holds
Yeah, I
that
think-
record.
it really started the found film genre too.
Yeah, the
it
the
did,
found
absolutely.
footage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more horror that I've seen and that I'd say I enjoyed to a certain extent.
Just on things that made you like horror things that made you uncomfortable or that you sort of can't. I remember as a kid, and I don't know if anyone else can sympathise. Wednesday nights at 8:30 was the worst time of the week for me because I would go 8:30 was my
Is it
bedtime.
Real
Oh, really?
Monsters?
No. Can anyone guess what happened at 8:30? And this is like 1996.
Was it
7,
was it the
8.
Goodnight Kiwi?
Who Dares Wins?
No, it was you'd go. So
X-Files.
Yes, spot on, Jono. Every Wednesday night at 8:30, I would go to bed and Mum would watch her favourite show, The X-Files, and I hated that music. It was terrifying. Oh, I hated it. It gives me chills now even just thinking about it. And that used to just terrify me because I never watched it. I was not allowed to watch it. I was too young. But that song was just gives me chills.
I've only ever seen one episode of The X-Files.
Fantastic show. I actually went back and rewatched it, a couple of seasons of it last year. Great. It holds up okay considering.
Did you see an episode where there was like a guy who could see through walls or something, and they would like shoot people? Somebody was pretending to shoot with his fingers, but it was actually a dude that could see through walls.
X-Files. It was
spoilers.
X-Files was that. It's a monster of the week kind of thing, and like you can skip a lot of. When I watched it as a kid, it was all great and it was all terrifying. But rewatching it, you're just like, okay, there's a ghost in this thing. But the best episodes of X-Files were the UFO ones, the ones that sort of dealt with that.
The mythology episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Rather than like the other sort of stuff. But yeah, that was terrifying for me as a kid.
You know what scared me as a kid? Australia's Most Wanted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because they're real people who are still at large.
Yeah. And Unsolved Mysteries, that show. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those shows were definitely scary. Absolutely. I remember as a kid, those ones were fuck. You just, because it's real. Like the ones that are real, obviously, are a lot more scarier than the ones that you know are fake.
Yeah,
definitely. I want to move it on to horror in the modern age, because in the past 10 years, the internet has, I wouldn't say blown up, but it's added another element to horror. Because I remember about 10 years ago, I was on the message boards, Something Awful, and there was this thread called Creepypasta, where people would just post just short stories or something like that to invoke horror in that. And there was this one particular character that's come out that you might have all heard of called Slender Man.
Oh, Slender Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, and you haven't heard of Slender Man?
I have not.
You haven't heard of Slender Man?
I don't think so. Maybe I should have from all of this.
It's like a
He's
very...
kinda
it's like...
Yeah, he's
It's in the
essentially...
zeitgeist.
The modern urban
Let me
legend.
Google it.
Exactly. He's essentially a faceless, tall man in a suit, and the stories people were posting about him was that he would just abduct children and stuff like that. And it blew up really big, and people started making viral YouTube videos and like making it almost like an online, not VR, AR game kind of, where people were deducting from all these videos what happened and everything like that. And I was reading a story about it last night, actually, that recently these two girls were so affected by it, like it was like it's come into the, like Ash said, a modern urban legend. And these girls stabbed another girl out in the woods and left it as kind of like a sacrifice to him.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I have not heard of this Slender Man or that crazy batshit story from people in the woods.
Yeah, well, they've been making games about it now. Well, there's a few games out there about him, and I think they're making a movie. Has anyone had any experiences with anything like that?
About Slender Man?
Or Slender Man, or just urban legends? And
I love urban legends. There was 3 movies made in the early 2000s, late 90s called Urban Legends. There's a trilogy of them, and they're all... It's like a compilation of literally all the urban legends that I've ever heard of. The 2 and 3 are kind of shit, but I'd suggest watching the first one. It's great. Urban Legends.
What was it called?
That's the title, Urban Legends.
Oh, is that like a... Was that like a
Yeah,
teen
but they were
slasher
all,
movie?
they
kind
were
of
all
thing?
based on the stories. You know, like, what's the one, you look in the mirror, the fucking...
Yeah, like the killer was like reenacting the urban legends.
Yes.
Is that the one?
That
Is it the movie? Yeah. And then like, and the hook, like the scraping, they're in the couple in the car.
Yeah, like
and
if you
scraping
make
on the
out
roof
with
or
a
whatever
girl
like
on this certain, like, what, you know, you'll get killed because stuff like that.
driving down the highway,
and then
flash
someone
the
will
lights.
appear in
Yeah,
the
that's what I
backseat and
remember.
like stab you. It was all that, so that's cool. On
Yeah.
Slender Man, I really really like Slender Man. That was all the stuff was
So do I.
the how the internet kind of just made this character out of nothing, and everyone had the stuff. I never heard of him until the game came out, and then I learnt after playing the game the origin story and stuff like that.
So what's the origin story?
It's literally just people on the message board being like, let's come up with a fucked up kind of character. It's literally people just
kids
making it
thought
up
it
from
up.
nothing. Like, or what if he did this? Or what if he haunts you like this? Or what if like you look away and then like you do this, and then what if he's like this, and like all this sort of thing. There's if you're looking at pictures of him online.
Did you just look up a
fucking
picture of
terrifying.
him? He's fucking
No,
terrifying. isn't he?
what you reminded me of is the episode of Doctor Who Don't Blink.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
weeping
That
angels.
is
The Weeping Angels.
the Weeping Angels. That is
Similar,
Yeah, that's terrific.
that is a piece of horror that I can get in behind.
The Blink episode of Doctor Who is top 5 episodes of Doctor Who. So
That was
Top 5 episode.
fantastic. I have a Keep Calm and Don't Blink
Yeah.
T-shirt.
Angels are great. They're similar to. I suppose it's a similar concept. Like Weeping Angels are for everyone that doesn't know, these statues that come to life, and if you blink,
Kind of like
they're
gargoyle-y
like women, and if you look away or quite like blink, in the time that you're not looking at them, they creep closer to you, and if they touch you, they send you randomly to a point in time that you like don't know. So you could get chucked 200 years into the future at a random point in some random place, and just you're stuck there. There's no way to come back. So they don't even
They
kill
feed
you.
off your
Like that's
potential.
what makes them terrible. They're not murderers. They literally just chuck you in a place you have no way to make your way back, and you don't know where you are. And like it's kind of terrifying when you think about it. Slender Man's similar to the point.
Poor Rory and Amy.
Yeah, that's sad. Spoilers.
Spoilers. It's making me a little upset thinking about
I
it.
cried like a baby.
I hated Rory for so long, right up until
you're
that
a
last
monster.
episode, and I was like, "Come on, no, don't go. It's fine. I like you now. Don't do
I
this to
can't
me."
watch that episode at all. It just
Yeah, no, I'm not going to watch it
tears me
again.
up. Slender Man will kill you if he touches you, but it's a similar thing where if you're looking at him, he won't move. So in the game, who's here has actually played the game, for reference?
I've played one.
I
of
just
them.
lost the game.
Yeah. One.
I've played the
I played the PC,
PC.
one back in the day, made a Let's Play of it. That was like one of my first. Like I'll get into making Let's Plays when like Slender Man was the big Let's Play thing that was happening. But that
Link in the description.
yeah, well, that game scared the absolute living shit out of me, because you turn around and
me
you'd
too.
see this dude. It's like, hey, there's Slender Man just standing off in the distance. Here he is. I've got one out of the 10 pages or however many you needed to collect, and he would start showing up slowly. And then there was a building in the game. The worst part about the building was, like, when you're walking around in the forest, you could swing around constantly and be like, Slender Man's over there, all right. Walk forward like another couple seconds, turn around, okay, he's still over there, it's fine. In the building, because it's like all of a sudden it's close quarters, and you would grab what you needed out of the building and you'd just kind of creep slowly around this corner and be like every time I played it, I'd just be like, don't be there, don't be there, don't be there, don't be there. And you creep around this corner and it'd be like, he's standing in the entrance. And the worst thing about Slender Man was the noise it made. Like, as you got closer to Slender Man, it was like that was the part that did it to me. I really and the thing you were saying before, Nick, about the girls who did the murders. There's a documentary that's coming out soon, or has come out. I can't remember if it's out by now, but it was a HBO documentary about them killing people, like another girl. These two girls took a girl down to the river and to the forest and some shit. Was like they
fucking killed
they,
it. Or they tried
they
to.
were like, we did it
yeah.
for Slender Man.
Non-fatal.
Yeah, it was non-fatal, but it's still like kind of fucked up.
So they didn't get.
Very
Yeah,
fucked up, yeah.
Nobody died, but somebody did get
No, they
stabbed
didn't.
and
Yeah.
left in there.
Still fucked up. Yeah, both those girls
They
I'm pretty
did,
sure
yeah.
got tried as adults
It's-
as well. Which
It's kind of fucked
Yeah.
up.
Oh.
But, I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, blame this on." There was a stage where I was reading on stories. Everyone was like, "Oh, blame it on the video game." I'm like, "Hey, this didn't even start as a video game, so back the fuck off."
No.
And that's like, well, why are people even writing this horrible stuff on the internet? I'm like, the fuck? People are just coming up with great fiction like that's all it is. It boils down to it.
Yeah.
Like it's great fiction, and you're going to blame that on. I couldn't get it. I mean, it's horrible, but it's still like don't make an excuse for like your bad parenting.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why, but somewhere in there I was reminded of the Jinx. Maybe because of documentaries about true crime stuff, and yeah.
Of who?
The Jinx, it's called. It's like a six-part...
Don't spoil it, because it's really, really good.
True crime series. Yeah,
you should watch it.
You should definitely go and watch that. It isn't explicitly horror, but...
It's horrific.
I mean, I'll give away enough to make it
I'll
like
look
a
into
horror
it.
story. The dude is accused of killing someone, and then he gets let off for it, and then we catch up with him many, many years later when he's like an older dude, and some stuff is happening in his life, and he's part of a really, really rich banker family that lives in New York. I think it was a New York banker family.
Yeah,
he's a
big New York
big
family,
like one of the biggest there. And this dude was accused of killing someone in his younger years, and then something happens, and then he never gave any interviews about it ever in all of his life. And then this dude made a movie. I can't remember the movie's name, but this director made a movie based on that story. And it was based on this dude's character, and it had Ryan Gosling and Kirsten Dunst as the leads in it. And then the real guy, Robert Durst, watched that movie, and for some reason he got in contact with the director and was like, "Hey, do you want to interview me?" And the director was like, "Very funny, good prank, whoever's pulling this prank." He was like, "No, it's really me. Do you want to interview me?" And he was like, "Sure, guy who's never gave any interviews and is really part of a really rich family. I'll interview you." And that's it. You should all watch it. It's amazing. It's better than Making a Murderer. It blew my fucking mind.
The movie is all good things, and the first murder is of his wife.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
He's sort of like, no, his wife just goes missing or something, and people suspect him, and then basically he like lives a big playboy lifestyle with buttloads of cash coming from his trust account every month or whatever, and just
that he has to pay tax on.
he does have to pay tax on it. Sorry, Jack.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, go watch that.
Cool.
And that is Jack and all listeners. Please and thank you.
What's just going back to one like movies that affected you, talking about what Nick was saying before, like has there ever been I remember as a kid watching Candyman and literally not being able to sleep for like 3 nights. Like I was that, and in hindsight not that scary movie, but like probably doesn't hold up today, but that like movie really fucked with me. Like I was fucking terrified of that movie after seeing that, and I like literally couldn't sleep. Like had to go and like sleep in my sister's room. Like couldn't like survive.
She's a murderer of
Candyman was
small
coming
animals.
to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how scary it
Why
was.
was she any
that's how scary it was.
I
Yeah,
can remember the first movie the first horror movie I ever watched where it legit freaked me out and I couldn't like do anything. The Hills Have Eyes was and it's the scene. I mean, slight spoilers, even though this happens probably before even halfway in the movie, where they wake up because they're staying in this caravan or whatever because they're stuck, and they wake up and the dad is tied to a tree, just burning alive, screaming for his life. And that movie has a lot more fucked up shit from that, but from that moment onwards in the rest of that movie, so much fucked up shit happens. That was the first movie I ever watched where I was like, I'm even questioning if this is too fucked up. Like, but I watched it all, and I couldn't sleep that night at all. I don't think I did sleep. I was up until like 6 a.m. just mind fucked from everything I just watched.
yeah. I peed myself a little bit watching The Conjuring. I'm not gonna.
We're all friends
Like just
here.
a little bit, like not like I didn't like full on piss my pants, but I remember being like, "There's a little bit of that little bit of pee come out." Yep.
I can't say I've ever peed myself.
Just in general, or during a horror movie?
During a horror movie.
Yeah. During a horror movie.
We've all been drunk enough.
I
don't think I've ever peed myself when I was drunk.
Never, not once.
Neither.
I I'm not going to call him out by name, but I used to have a flatmate that would. This is like in my third year of uni. That when he got too drunk, he would pee himself. And this one time, it's like a Thursday night or something. We were drinking at home, and I think everybody was like gearing up to go into town and have a drink, because why not? He was far too smashed, and so we're going to put him to bed. And so I actually walked into the bathroom. Do you need to go to the toilet? We know that you pee yourself. Just go. Just go. No. It's fine. I just want to go to bed. I don't need the toilet. So goes to the toilet. Goes to bed. And literally about 30 seconds later, as we're all like putting our shoes on to go out to town, he like comes out of his room, which was just off the lounge, all of his sheets in his arms, takes him to the washing machine and puts him in the washing machine, and then goes back to bed. And actually, within 30 seconds, he's basically lied down, combed it out, and wet himself instantly, woke back up, and took the sheets off to wash.
God, that's unfortunate.
It was terrible. I tried so hard to make him go to the bathroom beforehand, but no, he wouldn't have it, and then he wet himself immediately. I don't know how we got onto that.
Friend. Oh, well,
Jack
since we're
pees
here,
pants.
that reminds me of
Jack.
a friend. It reminds me of a friend that got absolutely hammered, and he had to catch the train home, and he trusted a fart too much and full on shit himself on the train. On the way home, in the same carriage as all these people gearing up to go
Never
into
trust
town.
a fart.
And he had to walk home in it, all shameful.
Oh, no. That's terrible.
That's
We
impressive.
still give him shit to this day about it.
Bringing back into movies that have affected you, I only have a story from my dad, but I remember my dad, the first time he watched Saving Private Ryan, which isn't even a horror movie, as such. The scene, I don't know exactly what's going on, but it might be there was a sniper or something like that. There's somebody like going to walk up a set of stairs, and somebody coming down.
Capazzo.
I don't. You probably know it. I just kind of have it. And he's basically just absolutely shitting himself, and can't pull the trigger to kill this dude.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever it was.
Upham. It was Upham the prick. He let what was his name? He let the guy
that stabbed the other guy.
Yeah, he let him get stabbed. Yeah.
So, well, whatever. But I just remember my dad saying that was a particularly powerful scene that kind of like left him feeling, I don't know, a bit sick or something like that. Like realities of war. Like this shit was really awful.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Anyone else?
I have nothing more to add. I'm going to watch The Conjuring 2 tonight, though, just to we're on the note of it, so I'm going to watch that tonight because it's now on Netflix.
I just bought The Jinx on that recommendation.
I was about to say, it's on iTunes because it's a HBO series, so you won't find it on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm going to download Beware the Slender Man.
It's on PlayStation now.
I suggest.
Oh no, I'm not. I mean the HBO documentary about the girls. Yeah, no, I'm not going fucking anywhere near the game. I'm.
No, Slenderman and other creepypastas like the Russian sleep experiment and whatnot are pretty good little short stories and whatnot that I recommend you go and have a look at. I'll put a link in the description to a best of creepypastas for you to have a look at.
How does horror work in fiction, like in written word?
Yeah, I was about to ask that. In saying that, I haven't read any full-on horror novels or books, but these little creepypastas can be pretty terrifying, especially the Russian sleep experiment, because it's written in a way that it's almost, you can believe that it happened.
What is this thing you're talking about? The creepy something?
Web.
Well, it was it's a thing that started on 4chan and then moved on down to message boards and stuff. It was just people writing short stories.
Well, just short horror stories.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think there's a real skill. There's
Fair
a real skill to writing a good short horror story because you don't have as much time to build the dread and stuff like that. You more or less need to build your world very quickly, get the reader to understand the characters that they're with, where they are, what's going on, and then as fast introduce the threat. I've been reading very slowly for like nearly 2 years now, all of as I mentioned before, Clive Barker, but he's got he does a bunch of books they're called Books of Blood. They are just horror short stories, and I read like a story or so between books, and every now and then I'm not in a rush to read it. It's just like my go-to short story book when I need a short story to read. And
how many have you read recently?
Of the short stories, I read one earlier in the year.
Oh, anything.
Any book.
Have you read any book
I
at
read
all
an entire
recently,
book this morning, actually.
2 out of 30. Oh,
yes, I read
you're
an
up to
entire
3
book this morning.
An entire book. What
book.
book was that?
It was the
Was it the Cat
Fantastic
in the Hat?
Hungry Caterpillar. Yeah.
It was the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them screenplay book.
I don't know if that counts.
Did you just open and close and go, and I've seen the movie, I don't have to read this?
No.
I got good Jono size incoming.
Did anybody read that short story I posted last night?
Negative.
No.
No,
Sorry,
it's
Nick.
on my list of things to do.
No,
Okay.
for aforementioned reasons.
I will. I promise that I will. I want to.
Well, it's pretty short. I might just read it here.
Sure, we got
It's
nothing else to do.
very subtle.
Yeah, I got nowhere to be.
Okay. No.
No, we want you to read it. We're just as long as we don't get a copyright
Okay.
strike.
No. It's all open source. Okay. It's from...
Read it in a scary voice, Nick.
no.
Oh, good.
Okay, it goes, I live in Osaka, Japan, and often use the subway to go to work in the morning. One day when I was waiting for the train, I noticed a homeless man standing in the corner of a subway station, muttering to himself as people passed by. He was holding out a cup and seemed to be begging for spare change. A fat woman passed by and the homeless man a fat woman passed by the homeless man and I distinctly heard him say pig. Wow, I thought to myself. The homeless man is insulting people and he expects to give them money. Then a tall businessman went by and the homeless guy muttered, human. Human. I can't argue with that. Obviously he was a human. The next day I arrived early at the subway station and had some time to kill, so I decided to stand close to the homeless man and listen to his strange mutterings. A thin, haggard man passed in front of him and I heard the homeless guy mutter, cow. Cow, I thought. The man was much too skinny to be a cow. He looked more like a turkey or a chicken to me. A minute later, a fat man went by and the homeless man said, potato. Potato. I was under the impression that he called all fat people pig. That day at work, I couldn't stop thinking about the homeless man and his puzzling behaviour. I kept trying to find some logic or pattern in what he was muttering. Perhaps he had some kind of psychic ability, I thought. Maybe he knows what these people were in a previous life. In Japan, many people believe in reincarnation. I observed the homeless man many times and began to think my theory was right. I often heard him calling people things like rabbit or onion or sheep or tomato. One day curiosity got to the better of me and I decided to ask him what was going on. As I walked up to him, he looked at me and said bread. I tossed some money into his cup and asked him if he had some kind of psychic ability. The homeless man smiled and said, yes, indeed, I do have a psychic ability. It is an ability I obtained years ago, but is not what you might expect. I can't tell the future or read minds or anything like that. Then what is your ability? I asked eagerly. The ability is merely to know the last thing somebody ate, he said. I laughed because I realised he was right. He said bread and the last thing I'd eaten for breakfast for that day was toast. I walked away shaking my head. All the psychic abilities someone could have, that one has to be the most useless.
There was the dude that ate human in there.
Exactly.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I got to the... As soon as you said potato, I was like oh, sorry. As soon as you got to potato, I knew that was coming. So, nicely done.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, very nice.
You
Very
got a new
nice.
Yeah, and
podcasting
like-
idea.
Creepypastas are kind of like that. Some are a bit longer, some are shorter. But yeah, I recommend if you got some spare time just to go check them out.
Mm.
Especially
Definitely.
the Russian Sleep Experiment. That, I reckon that's the best one that I've read so far.
I will go and read that straight after this.
I was gonna jump on the short story suggestion train.
Yep.
If you are a fan of horror and stuff like that, we live in a day and age where you can, like, you've got creepypasta where you can get your fix of short story horror stuff, but at the same time, if you have a decent enough, like an average PC that can play games, people are making short horror game experiences like nearly every day, and you can just download them for free off certain websites.
Yeah.
They'll just put them up, and I played a lot of those, and a lot of them are really, really good. They were like an hour or two, and a lot of them are, you know, they're just corridor walk down, but they'll tell an interesting story and stuff like this. I played I can't remember the name of it, but I played like a rather interesting one about it was about dealing with like insane asylum, but it wasn't really an insane asylum. It was like kind of dealing with being depression and stuff like this, but it was like made into a horror game because it's like inside the person's brain, and that was really interesting. And that was only a couple hours experience and stuff like that. So if you're into horror, you can get your fix in many different ways for free these days. It's great.
There's one I want to suggest too that made, I don't say it's explicitly horror, but it made me feel really uncomfortable. It's called Papers, Please. Where
what does that sound
you
familiar?
play.
That's the
It's a Nazi one, isn't it?
It's just
No,
a
it's not
stamping
Nazi.
game.
It's
immigration.
It's
customs
basically
border-
yeah, border
Yeah.
patrol, and you stand there and you either let people in or deny them access depending on certain situations, but it presents a dynamic where you also have your own family to feed, and if you fuck up and bend the rules, you don't get paid and your own family can die. But then all these people come to the border with their own stories and troubles, and you're stuck between a moral dilemma of either to help them or to help yourself. It's only like a point and click game, but I strongly recommend anyone to go check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, on that stage, unless anyone has anything to add, we might wrap up.
Shout out to Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Remember
Actually.
that? Remember reading that a lot as a kid. So
Actually, I have a quick Goosebumps
Yeah.
tangent since you just
You got
said
the platinum,
that.
you know.
Something. There was a story. I can't remember the name of the story, but I love this Goosebumps story so much that I would rent it, the book plus the audio tape. I would rent out from my local school library on every couple of weeks. I just want to reread this thing, and it scared me, but I just loved it so much. And it was a story about this dude who's like really loves comic books, and he goes past this house one day, and he's like, that house is out of this comic book. And then he goes in there, and all these comic book characters are out there. And spoilers for a fucking however old Goosebumps story. There's a moment in the story where like he gets cut, and he starts like bleeding ink, and he's like, oh shit, I'm a comic book character come to life.
Yeah,
It was really good.
I've read that one, Dylan. It was as you described.
It definitely was the story.
It does.
Very good,
exist,
very good.
Can confirm.
It
All right,
does.
bye everyone.
All right.
Good podcast.
Then we get to pimp our stuff
We do.
first.
Jono, where can we find you?
You can find me at Jono himself, and Google my name, Jono Peck, and you'll find Putting In Work, my other podcast.
Tom?
You can find me TomDaBomb89, TomDabom89. Google me, and you might be able to find my spare room on Airbnb. That's a thing.
Oh,
yes.
Recently.
Ash?
you can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can search for me on Google. Don't know what you'll find. Probably some film work.
Mysterious.
You'll be
Dylan?
disappointed.
You can tweet your stories about how you plan on killing me to at Viva Ladil.
No
Thank
TV.
you.
DIL.
You can find Jack at Pepsi.
Or
And no. You can find me at Cruisy_mate on Twitter and CruisyMate on YouTube.
You can find me at Lord N.Prior, PRIOR. The show is also on Twitter at ExplosionPod. We're at the website pleasureexplosion.com. if you listen to this on iTunes, we'd really appreciate if you rate and review, get the word out there, and tell your friends about it too, because the more, we'd like to hear more from you.
Tweet at
Word.
us.
Bye.
Word.
Cheers.
Peace.
Boy!
Keep putting in work.
Boo.
Dogs is a dog.
Still don't know what that means.
Three, two, one. I can't even. No. Oh, kill me. Just kill me.
Go. 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1.
Good enough.
Good enough.
That's definitely going to B-roll.
Let's do it.
Tell you what, that is never going to get old.
True.
Probably not.
Oh, Nick.